G'day, exiles. It is ZiggyD here, and welcome to the grandest of grand finales, the finals of the Path of Exile community race season for this season. I am joined here by co-caster Rise QT. How you going, Rise?
Hey Ziggy, hey, what's up everybody? The grandest of all grand finales, that's a great way to put it, Ziggy.
Dude, we have, for this grand finale, a prize pool of just under $1,000 in cash prizes right now. That's pretty hype.
That's pretty hype, actually. I never thought that it's gonna reach to this level, but through your guys' great community support, we were able to organize this, and yeah, it's looking real hype.
The grand finale starting very soon, in less than a minute or so. We will be having a 2-hour Kitava Kill, Act 5 Kitava Kill. We're going to be having D&D, DeadandDoom, facing off against Fightgarr, Waggle, and TheUberElite.
And a lot of you guys might be looking at their screens right now as this race is just about to start, and you're thinking, whoa, wait a minute, that's not a duelist. Something isn't right here. Do these guys know that this is a Kitava Kill?
Wait, not a single one of them is going Sunder. Even DeadandDoom specifically has his name listed as D&D, not Sunder. There's going to be no Sunder this time, guys. This is pretty hype. We're having all shadow action here. All hail the Arc Trap.
Absolutely so. That is the TLDR. A lot of these players will be utilizing a lot of those early game typical shadow skills, and then soon after we'll be switching to a little bit more single target oriented setup, which is an Arc Trap, which allows them to do those pesky bosses in Act 4 and 5 not only significantly faster, but also lowering the risk of the fight too, while also allowing them to have the fight be a little bit more on their level than what they would typically have with maybe some of the other setups that are a bit more gear dependent.
I would just like to point out that DeadandDoom did not get a pair of Wanderlusts off Hillock, so
nice.
The race is off to a fair start. I was half expecting it. I was thinking the grand finale is here. I'm up for like some insane levels of competition and competitiveness from all players here today, because unlike the previous weekends, we have given each of the players an extra 3 days to practice specifically for the grand finale so that it would be as competitive as possible. And yeah, I was half expecting some Hillock Wanderlust to drop for someone. I think we got some move speed for Waggle, though. On that note, I see a pair of booties on him. I think he might have got those from the vendor, perhaps.
Yeah, very nice. Movement speed for Waggle. DeadandDoom does not seem to get anything too worthwhile. Fightgarr with the blue-green, which will be his primary links for a Frostbomb, Arcane Surge into added Lightning Swap, and also that Onslaught, which definitely helps you out a lot. The early +3 and not having to worry as much about your colors on your weapon, or excuse me, the early +1 and not having to worry about the colors on your weapon is absolutely a huge benefit. And typically a lot of players really welcome those colors with a little bit of maybe a breath of relief.
Yeah, it'd be pretty stressful to be stuck without your proper link set up for quite a while.
Yeah.
On this shadow setup here, but yeah, all these players are gonna be looking for some. Go ahead.
Fightgarr struggling in the coast, opening up that corpse, dropping 2 wisdom scrolls, being focused on picking them up, but unfortunately fight took a little bit longer than expected with that pesky layout. He's having a 230 waypoint hit, which is possibly 30 seconds or even sometimes 40 seconds slower than some of the shorter layouts. So definitely, despite having that wand, a little bit time to make up with TheUberElite. Actually, I believe not even either already having his colors, because I don't think he even checked for a wand when first vending. I'm not sure if he forgot or he's got his colors, or maybe he's just like, you know what, I don't need any colors. I don't really care about this stuff.
Yeah, I think he's just rolling with it. From what I see, he just has the 2 daggers equipped, no 3 links yet. So just keep an eye out for that. Rise, do you think we're going to see any deaths today?
As an expert in that department, as seen from the semi-final race that I have participated in, possibly so, yes. I could imagine it. It is a very tricky race. More than anything, Act 4 tends to have a lot of rips. Act 5 even more so. Quite gear dependent. Oof! Waggle dropping low. Recovering from
It's too
Hellrake.
early for some deaths. I haven't woken up properly yet.
That's a little early, but a lot of these players, experts at the game, but sometimes, you just get critted by Hellrake, and there's not a whole lot you can do. But Waggle definitely manages it in the greatest of fashions, because despite having a blue pack, which typically is beneficial, but it does make for a pretty tricky Hellrake fight, as UberElite also drops low.
Eating a few of those cascades right there. He gets through it in the end, though. It's like DeadandDoom's final to get through there.
Fightgarr seems to only drop in pairs of 2s, dropping 2 Wisdom Scrolls and now 2 Portals.
Hey, man, if he's got like a hidden mirror buff going, then that's going to be really nice, If you get 1 3-link one, you get 2 3-link ones, 1 ring, 2 rings. I like the sounds of that.
Okay, UberElite also has his colors, also with a secondary wand. Actually, he's got 2 of them. All right, he did check vendors. That was an incredibly fast vendor check then, because he was out in the coast initially at about 113, which is super fast. Any coast entrance below 120 is very impressive from a vendoring point of view. Very well played by UberElite.
You love to see that hype, quick vendoring action, those fast coast times. Practicing for that coast world record, and UberElite may have secured it today.
Oh yeah, no, UberElite definitely looking very solid, and really it goes to show, the faster your vendors, it really shows how much the player has been practicing and how much effort he's putting into a race such as this one. And honestly, when it comes to those Act 4 and 5 races, a lot of players do tend to simply skip it and kind of wing it at the end of the day, but those are the tricky acts. But you don't participate in nearly as many Kitava races as you do in some of these other shorter races.
No, it's really hard to practice for Act 4 and 5, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
On the move speed reporter side of things, DeadandDoom did get some move speed boots, as is expected. Fightgarr got a second Quicksilver, which is a pretty big deal.
Wow. Honestly, Fightgarr popping off. This is the first time that I've seen in these races that he's actually getting some RNG. Typically, for the most part, from his performances in the previous races, some people might be looking at it as, oh, Fightgarr isn't even that good. It seems like he's lost his touch, but he's been struggling a little bit with RNG, with most of the races staying on a 2-link, even up to Act 3. So to see him with that early 3-link and a second Quicksilver is very refreshing, especially considering that finally a player of such class has peeked his way onto the finals and can really show everybody now how it's done. Because so far, all the players are extremely close. Honestly, it's looking pretty fantastic.
Yeah, everyone's gotten a little bit of something this race, which I always love to see, especially in those early stages. And I agree with you, man. Fightgar's had a little bit of a rough season, but he's made it here. He's made it to the grandest of grand finales, and he's gonna be punching for that cash money prizing.
Oh,
which
yeah.
I would just like to make a pretty hype announcement right now. Has officially crossed the $1,000 mark.
Wow.
We just had some extra people throw into the prize pool, and we're now at $1,020.19.
Nice. Some clappers for yourself, guys, in the chat, I think would be appreciated. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll be looking for these participants to claim the highest price possible.
I'm thinking that, these guys were already begun pretty hard just to try and get this win, just for the bragging rights alone. But it's gotta be sure to light a little bit of extra fire under you. You can do a bit of damage with that much money.
Yeah, these weak arms are heavy. With $1,000, we're talking $400 for first price, which is, I believe, the second highest price tournament in the history of Path of Exile. So very, very, very cool here. DeadandDoom maybe being the player who's most used to it, with the highest earnings in the history of Path of Exile. And
highest career
side
earnings.
of things, yes, I do believe that he is at a solid $3,000 from the only ever previous race. with a cash prize.
Everyone else is still probably on that $0 mark, I'd imagine, from Path of Exile race winnings. It's a fledgling industry, okay?
I do believe that currently, DeadandDoom is the highest earning player of all time in the history of Path of Exile, with $3,000, with a caster that is present in the room being the second highest, $1,500. And then the third person with the highest earnings would be Nugian with $800. So they are fighting for some prestige here, and maybe DeadandDoom keeping up his title.
Indeed, he does not. Well, would probably not be getting overtaken then, but nonetheless,
yeah,
very exciting days for Path of Exile esports here today.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like the way that rolls off my tongue. Looks like we've got a shrine coming up for DeadandDoom. He's going to be able to grab that. It's just a shock shrine. No acceleration shrines for him here. Fightgarr stopping to grab an Essence of Greed.
Well, actually, DeadandDoom's layout overall, despite that shrine being a lightning shrine, has benefited him quite a lot, because this is one of the trickier upper prison layouts, and he just gets a very short, very perfect one, and that was like a 20-second upper prison. So yeah, maybe the shrine wasn't acceleration, but it might as well been, because that was a very quick Warden's Quarters progression. But Waggle, very shortly behind. Yeah, very impressive times.
He can feel, DeadandDoom can feel the heat of Waggle's breath on the nape of his neck right now as he runs towards Warden. And it's gonna be getting under your skin a little bit. D&D preloading his explosive traps, starting off that Brutus fight. Gets a few solid connections with that. Very nice. Dodging the slam easily. Waggle's about to start his fight. Looks like D&D's Brutus is almost done already. And there he goes. No problems at all. Adrenaline Shrine for Fightgarr in the top right now. And Waggle just shredding his Brutus.
Yeah, Waggle with that large flask absolutely can have all the life uptime that he possibly wants. With Shadow dishing out so much damage, this is one of the bigger factors why the players opted to go for the Shadow, because they can deal that single target damage with the traps. And Fightgarr, also Waggle being the only player who does not have a 3-link as of right now, so seeing his time is quite impressive.
It looks like he managed to get a green-blue in his iron helmet, actually. So he's done something together. Just a little sneaky helmet link right there.
Yeah, I saw the iron helmet and I didn't even look, to be honest, because those are 3 off colors. So pretty lucky in his unluckiness, but that is not a weapon, so he will not be able to craft that +1. And for a race such as this one, it is quite important, because oftentimes in Act 2, not as much in Act 1, but it does help a lot, honestly, but not nearly as much as in Act 2, where sometimes you're just not one-shotting mobs.
Yeah, absolutely crucial that the players will get those +1 setups.
UberElite and Fightgarr fighting Brutus. Going pretty smooth, but honestly not nearly as well as Waggle and DeadandDoom, with UberElite having to dodge quite a bit with those small flasks, and Fightgarr, the classic Fightgarr 1 life flask setup, costed them quite a bit of time there, honestly. They weren't too far behind the other 2 players, but with that Brutus fight looking about maybe even upwards of 20 seconds longer than it has for the other players, I don't know, Ziggy, this might really cost them. They're falling further and further behind here. Gotta step it up.
You gotta make sure, though, this is a longer race. You gotta not let this stuff get under your skin. You gotta keep it calm. Make sure you don't let any disadvantages snowball. Is probably the most important thing. You can suffer a little bit of a penalty early on, but if you let that snowball and maybe miss out on some XP, try and rush and fall behind in terms of keeping up on those levels, then that's when things start to get really bad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, well, one of the bigger determining factors over here will also be levels, because getting level 10 as soon as possible is super important. And you can see that even though Waggle is already in Caverns of Wrath, he's not really that close to his level 10. Therefore, he does not have a Flame Dash, which means that possibly he could be getting stuck next to some Sirens, but he is killing an Exile here, which should grant him a level, and also drops some items.
An
I
Amber
believe it.
Amulet there, which is not
Yeah.
bad. I don't
Yeah,
know
the
if
Amber helps.
will players be using Blade Vortex here at all? Do you think in like the interim between
Oh,
going
yeah.
to Arc Traps?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So Blade Vortex, you still have to utilize that Frost Bomb, especially if you've got a +1. You can really utilize that Frost Bomb for your Act 2 progression, and Blade Vortex is for sure the highest single target. As much as we've talked about Arc Trap single target, yeah, that's a really big factor and it helps out, but for Act 2, you can't have that Onslaught upkeep. Therefore, Frost Bump is just that much useful. And as for the single target, the single target primarily stems from the fact that you can preset those arc traps, and it just makes for a much safer and pretty good single target fight. And that's what these players are going to be focusing on here. But outside of Vol, there's not really particularly much that you can do. And Blade Vortex, you can still preset yourself. It's just nearly not as safe.
Yeah, we've definitely seen Blade Vortex just shredding those Valkill races as Shadow as well. So it's a pretty decent one, pretty solid pick. Looks like D&D is just starting his Merveil, a little bit of ahead of Waggle, who's still navigating through some dead ends in Caverns of Anger. Looks like DeadandDoom's damage is on point.
Yeah, and this not only this kill speed, but also this Merville entrance is very on point. And under 15 Merville entrance is always something you should be very proud of. Obviously, it depends on how the fight is going to go. DeadandDoom having Waggle dropping extremely low.
Watch out, buddy.
Getting railed by those swords. Sometimes you can get stunned, and then Merville follows up with her spears. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that he comes out seemingly unscathed out of that. But DeadandDoom definitely having a much easier fight with that Bismuth Flask that he now has equipped. And Waggle, single target looking so solid. Wow, that was a lot of crits, I think.
Very nice there. That Bismuth Flask from DeadandDoom is kind of a big deal. There's a lot of nasty elemental damage this player is going to be having to deal with.
Oh yeah, I absolutely think so. These players will be utilizing some portals on some of these tougher fights. UberElite, wow, UberElite with a nice skip. Honestly, that was well calculated. It didn't seem like that much, but knowing exactly where to skip in Caverns of Wrath and Anger can be super beneficial, as you are skipping certain mobs that you don't necessarily want to be killing and preserving those Flame Dash charges. The shorter the route, generally, the better, unless you are looking to hit level 11, which I don't believe any of these players will be trying to get here.
What I'm really excited about for this race is we can joke that everyone's just gone from Sunder to Arc Traps, but there's actually a really interesting set of skills that will be utilized this race. We're seeing huge variety in terms of like the setups that players will be using, from like the explosive traps to the freeze pulse, the blade vortex, the blink arrow combined with flame dash is likely going to be pulled out for all 4 players here, and especially those blink arrow skips through Act 4. And maybe even Act 2 if we pull out some Rice QT strategies, and then finally some Arc Traps on top of that. So there's a lot of interesting progression that goes on here. Oh, we got a Varlog from Fightgarr.
Oh, that's pretty big, honestly. If he hits the Blade Vortex, ooh, maybe even the Arc. Yeah,
Varlog's not bad too as well. It doesn't go so well on the traps, but not too bad.
Very interesting from Fightgarr. Okay, so his Brutus time was also considering the fact that he did not go back to town. So that was actually a pretty slow Brutus, and he now has to do a little bit larger amount of vendoring, but he's got 4 transmutes. So he manages to buy just about everything. Already got the bow nice and prepared in his offhand for that blink arrow. So despite the fact that he didn't utilize the added lightning, which some players really like, instead of arcane surge for that early progression, he's doing really great. And you can also see Fightgarr utilizing right now something incredibly tricky to do but extremely useful in these races, which is having a move only key on your keyboard, which allows you to pick up items and hold them on your cursor without dropping them as you're still moving through the zone. All you got to do is click that move only with your keyboard, and then you can keep running, and you could see that if it works and he's swapping around your gems, It's just so pretty, and it really benefits you a lot without having to stop at any point.
Yeah, I love seeing that when it's executed flawlessly. Speaking of interesting strategies, Waggle just completed the den, going for that second Quicksilver right there. I'm guessing we didn't see DeadandDoom go into the den though. I don't believe.
No,
So.
I believe he just finished it as well.
Oh, he just finished. Oh, look at his Quicksilvers
Yeah.
right now, and he's got 2 Quicksilvers. There we go. So I expect that all players will be going for that, since it is a longer race. Normally, that's not something they're going for, but as a longer race, there's enough time for that Quicksilver to matter. Fightgarr, however, does not have to. He's already got 2 Quicksilvers.
Yeah, this is a matter of, I think, also strategy. I'm not exactly sure if the players will be going for a double Quicksilver. If they are utilizing that blink hour, it is pretty tricky to optimize everything, and maybe too much of a headache. So some of these players might be focusing a little bit more on just their kill speed rather than mobility, and opting to skip the blink arrow for that little bit of extra mobility and allowing themselves to just have very nice, very consistent kills and keeping up that XP, as it is quite important. Typically in a vol kill that most watchers, I would imagine, are used to by now, you would be looking at level 13, maybe a maximum of level 14 for a vol kill, but these players are looking to get full levels, as it is an Act 5 progression, and probably for the entirety of Act 2 and Act 3, they will be looking to get maximum experience. So we're not going to be seeing the typical 13-14 vol kill or the typical 21 Dominus kill. We're most likely looking at something like 18-19 vol, and then possibly even a 27, maybe 28 level 28 Dominus kill, which is a massive difference.
Yeah, these players are going to be a lot more prepared than you usually see.
Yeah.
Fidelitas, always a bit of a game changer in these races. Always has the potential for a kill. DeadandDoom going very low as I say that. Waggle's up next though. DeadandDoom makes it through safely. Just a couple little lightning burn scars there.
Very
utilizing the range and safety on those arc traps. And it looks like we were talking about the Blade Vortex, but it looks like none of the players... Well, UberElite has a Blade Vortex, but the other players have just gone straight into arc. DeadandDoom has the Blade Vortex equipped as well, so... I guess the plan is to weave that into some of the boss kills, but otherwise mostly relying on that arc trap from here on out. The only one I don't see the Blade Vortex on actually is Fightgarr. I don't know if Waggle has one. Waggle neither as well. Yeah, interesting. So not everyone looking to equip that Blade Vortex right now. Maybe they have it somewhere, but yeah, I'm not seeing it.
Honestly, UberElite is a little bit behind, but in all reality, in my opinion, he's got the better strategy, as his single target does look a lot better. The big thing about the arc trap is the fact that by attaching multi-trap, recently there was a change where previously if you had been throwing your traps on a mob that was under a wall, then the traps simply would not land. But now they've changed it so that the traps stack under the wall, granted you're close enough, so you can pull mobs under walls and utilize that multi-trap to really dish out tons of damage. And in Act 2, with most of the fights being in closed areas like Weaver or Bandits, then it's pretty good. But for Vol Kill, I'm not sure it's going to be as good as Blade Vortex.
Yeah, Blade Vortex would definitely be better than that. I do like that the Trapper playstyle has a lot of little things you can do to refine its effectiveness. UberElite had a pretty nasty den there, and he lost a fair bit of time in it, but he does get rewarded in kind, though, with his Quicksilver actually having Adrenaline on it straight off the bat.
Okay,
so he's got a Quicksilver Adrenaline right now.
Yeah, that's super useful. You need to have that item level 7, or maybe it's item level 5, actually. Quicksilver flask to hit that adrenaline, and if you do, that's incredibly beneficial. I'm sure we're going to be seeing a lot of other players here either attempting to roll resistances on their initial Quicksilver, or possibly even going all out with those alterations and trying to get adrenaline on their den Quicksilver.
Yeah, it looks like we've seen a little bit of crafting right now. So far, only Fightgarr has managed to get something else useful, which is that freeze immunity with charge recovery. So that's not too bad either.
That helps. Yeah, that definitely helps too. opening those boxes, getting that experience. Not as much in a regular race, but in this race in particular, yeah, that's pretty helpful. And I mean, look at UberElite's Fidelitas. He just melts away immediately. Honestly, I think the Blade Vortex is a little bit more of a headache because you do have to switch a little bit more when it comes to your gems, but it just seems so much more powerful than a lot of these other setups.
And I like the idea of potentially being able to use both. Like, you can throw down some arc traps, whirl up some Blade Vortex while, Val is appearing, for example, and there's no reason you can't use both there.
Yeah, having that, you even do have some time with the Blade Vortex uptime to cast a couple traps in between too. So that's a pretty big factor. I think Waggle and DeadandDoom, despite being the players who are actually in the lead, you can definitely see them hurting on that clear. And I'm not sure. Maybe they've just got a little bit differently focused skill tree, but I wouldn't imagine so. So. Honestly, they're just making up all this time with just pure skill, I think, so far. Pure raw talent.
Pure raw talent. DeadandDoom doing a good job of going ahead in terms of progression, but also keeping his XP up as well, sacrificing nothing to do so. He is looks like 16.5 right now, leading the charge by almost a full level.
Pay attention to DeadandDoom's Vault kill here. Yeah, it's looking pretty okay. He actually runs out of mana too. That's another big factor, but he had to pull Kraken under a wall, and even then his single target wasn't looking that impressive. But we'll be seeing, well, not that shortly, how, for instance, the UberElite single target is going to be looking like, or maybe possibly UberElite's going to prove everybody wrong by simply skipping the second phase of Weaver, and I think that's going to be pretty. That's going to tell us a lot about these single target setups, but he still has to make his way over, as he has to make up a lot of time from that feisty Act 1 and also long den.
Looks like UberElite's not hesitating to take a little bit of extra time and fall behind in progression a little bit to get as much gear and XP as possible, and he is killing most of those essences he's run across.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think that's the proper strategy here. No, actually, Waggle, that being said, Waggle has caught up with DeadandDoom and has now killed Oak a little bit faster than DeadandDoom also. Both players running to that waypoint. Both players having a nice zone, very easy layout. All they have to do is head on over up. With Waggle maybe, heading a little bit too far to the right, but DeadandDoom having an absolutely perfect read, and they're going to be moving on to Alira to get those skill points. Fightgarr, what are you doing? Is he going
He's killing Alira?
Wow.
What?
Okay.
Not expected at all. It is totally expected that all the players will be helping Alira in this race for the extra resistance bonus. In a long race like this, that resistance is just huge against so many bosses and so many areas. That's really unexpected.
Yeah, maybe he just opts to get maybe he's got a very precise skill tree where he needs the 2 extra skill points. I don't believe that he's going to be helping Oak. It's just not worth it. And I mean, Fightgarr is one of those players that, whenever anybody, he practices a lot offline. He doesn't really stream nearly as much. And for the longest time, whenever anybody would come out with a world record and they'd be like, wow, look at my world record, I'm so good, they post it on Reddit, there'd be a huge thread, and Fightgarr wakes up and he's like, well, actually, and he would post his time that would be the world record. Everybody would freak out because he's already had it for a long time. He just didn't let anybody know. And then another player comes along and he's like, yo, now I've got the world record. Get wrecked, Fightgarr. Fightgar's like, well, actually, no. And he posts another time with an even crazier run. So
just sleeping on those record VODs.
yeah, he's just sitting on them, no problemo. People thought they beat him like 10 times, but nope. Fightgarr still has it, still in him, and he's definitely been displaying it so far in this race, as he is now killing Oak with, I think, the fastest pace overall, running a little bit of mana, running out of mana a little bit there, but opting not to delve into those heralds, or he's simply forgetting. But so far it's been really beneficial, and Ark's definitely got the damage to not have to worry about that.
Yeah, interesting to note that DeadandDoom is using that Arctic Armor. He was using Arctic Armor and Herald of Thunder earlier, but like you said, he was running into mana problems there, and
Yeah.
the Arc Traps are pretty mana hungry. So
Oh yeah.
interesting. He's gone for the safety side of things, running that Arctic Armor right now. Just been like, yeah, I think the damage is enough to get the kills in, a single throw of traps. So makes sense. And you might do a bit of swapping for doing bosses and stuff like that, where he wants more damage rather than the survivability.
Yeah.
UberElite was the only one without movement speed boots up until recently, but he did manage to get some, and not only that, he managed to get that 15% move speed boots, so jumping a whole
cool.
tier there with his move speed boots.
Oh yeah, that's very, very helpful. Absolutely. But it is also interesting that DeadandDoom has opted to go for the Arctic Armor over the Herald. A lot of players might be looking at that and thinking that it's a mistake. Well, wait a minute, I deal less damage, I go slower. But actually, by utilizing traps, that's something that a lot of the SRS racers, Summon Raging Spirits, or maybe some Scion players in the past would notice that the little bit of a slow and also survivability granted from the Arctic Armor actually really helps with positioning mobs and just the way they chase you. So it does allow him for a lot better position arc trap throws. And yeah, DeadandDoom really showing how it's done here, because none of the other players, I don't believe, have recognized this strategy, and in my opinion, it's the better one.
Yeah, not even seeing UberElite running anything currently. It possibly just doesn't have a adequate set of sockets to run his Herald right now, and it's maybe not the quite highest priority. Like, it's only a little bit of extra damage. So yeah, maybe that's his reason. But yeah, like you said, everyone else is just running that, just going for that straight up damage. Although we are seeing extra reservation from Fightgarr now. He has his auras turned off, but he's doing Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. So he's going all in on that big boy DPS right there.
Yeah, interesting. We'll be seeing if it pays off or not. Definitely by being able to equip your level 18 Grand Flask prior to Brutus, you can, prior to Vol, excuse me, you can have a high enough mana upkeep to do the fight with Blade Vortex pretty easily, but Arc Trap costs quite a bit more mana. Honestly, I'm a little bit surprised so far. Looking at the gear, both Fightgarr and DeadandDoom, I don't see anything in terms of a weapon. They have not crafted a +1. Maybe they're focusing a little bit more on alterations and just having proper setups on all their abilities. But yeah, no +1s, and their times are still looking quite solid, with Fightgarr actually catching up a little bit here. I'm not sure if he has got a +1, but he definitely has those 2 Heralds, so he didn't seem to run into as many alteration problems as other players here.
Fightgarr got a little bit lucky earlier on. Right from the beginning, his Driftwood 1 had 1 to 5 lightning damage to spells, which is not a bad little addition right there.
That's a little helpful, yeah.
Set a slight edge there.
Not as much of a factor anymore, but in the very early game, oh god, DeadandDoom. Okay, no. Wow, DeadandDoom actually sees the next the next pyramid entrance from his previous layout. That's a rare sight, especially one zone before the apex. He really just ran the wrong way there. And yeah, it punished him because Waggle's already got his Vol popped, and he's going to be looking to dish out pretty serious deeps here.
Ad spawns? Oh yeah. That's the glory of the Arc Trap on Val, though. We're talking about the Blade Vortex DPS, but I mean, it's hard to beat Val just being locked in an ad phase like this. Is he going all the way? I think he's going all the way on this. Look at this. This is perfect.
Ooh, DeadandDoom getting a little bit unlucky, but okay, it reaches far enough. Sometimes Vol can throw his ads too far, and at which point Arc can't deal the damage. DeadandDoom really being on the edge here. That Arc is barely reaching, but will he be able to do it? Yeah,
he gets it as well.
Nice.
Damn, that is beautiful. It's a sight to behold, just wrecking that vacuum cleaner AI. Poor Val does not know what to do. He's like, yeah, but I'm not allowed to go down until I spawn enough ads. But the ads don't exist. What happened to the ads?
Yep.
I think we saw a Silver Flask drop there as well for Waggle. What do you reckon about the Silver Flask? Because the Onslaught is, I don't know, maybe not as relevant for a Trapper, though?
I think, yeah, Onslaught, since you can't link it to a trap, as it does count for the trap kill enough for your character, so as you're killing with those arc traps, which a lot of these players are focused on here, the Silver Flask might prove to be quite useful. It does only have one charge, so you would have to roll 23 or higher reduced flask charge usage, which is very tricky to have those 2 charges, but I'm still sure that, well, I'm not sure, but I do think that Waggle will be looking to utilize it as soon as he reaches level 22.
What do you do in this situation? Do you cut one of your life flasks just to be able to stack the adrenaline move speed on top of the Quicksilver, I guess?
That'd be nice. Yeah, a little bit of a risky play, but I do believe that it would pay off. DeadandDoom fighting in Essence right now. Gets a Saint's Treasure.
He takes a look at it, moves it in his inventory. Actually pausing his racing movement for a second there to have a look at the divination card. It's like, oh, OMG, what did he get? What was that on?
I'm not exactly sure.
Maybe he was just OMGing over the Saint's Treasure.
I think he's maybe freaking out about just the lack of weapons that he's had so far. No +1s, but that one didn't look particularly great, and yeah, it's not. It's got 12 spell damage and 62 IPD, 7 attack speed. Yeah, that's not a positive OMG. Yeah, that's a DeadandDoom. Oh my god, for sure.
That's like, oh my god, I just crafted like a beastly attack weapon. It's a wand. Oh,
okay, got it.
Little sketchy on that box right there. Yeah, 62 increased physical damage, 7 attack speed, and 13 crit chance with leech and accuracy. That's a nice attack one right there.
Okay, Fightgarr also managing to do his Vol kill very well. No issues there. Skips all the phases with the arc trap. We're seeing whether or not UberElite actually goes for the Blade Vortex strategy or not. It is on his toolbar, and it has been helping out quite a bit, but is it going to be better than the arc? I do believe so, but he also would have to link it over the already existing 3-link. He does have a Torah in his zone, so UberElite really not catching a break here. You can see that slight loss of confidence the second he sees the Torah in his ancient pyramid. But recovers immediately, keeping up that positive mental attitude, and reaches the apex in still a pretty nice time considering all the levels.
UberElite is using that bow swap with the blink arrow now as well, which is cool. So that's coming out nice and early from him. He's planning on weaving that together to get a few extra skips here and there and maybe a bit faster movement. Very nice to see. Love that strategy.
Okay, he does switch things around, but he's kind of slow here. And yeah, opts to not go for the Blade Vortex, gets a little bit of stacks. I'm not exactly sure. I think he's opting to do the Blade Vortex, and the Blade Vortex is dishing out damage, but he's only got a 2-link right now. I think he's missing something, but even he is not sure. Oh no! Use your trap, Uber! Oh, the second early ad phase. That is so unfortunate. I mean, his skill is still going to be quite similar to the other players, despite Vol going down twice, just due to the sheer kill speed of Blade Vortex, even on the 2-link. But I do believe that if he would have just utilized the arc trap there, maybe he could have saved himself some time.
Yeah, pre-trapping some arcs while you're waiting for Vile to appear, and then he triggers them as soon as he appears would potentially spawn a double ad phase there. Would have been nice and efficient. But yeah, like the breaking Vile with the arc traps looks insane, but I don't actually think Uber's kill was that much slower with Blade Vortex because of that higher damage.
Yeah, despite him going down, that did look pretty similar because that Blade Vortex is just putting in that much more work on the damage side of things. The players opting to go for the bust in the sewer, but Waggle and DeadandDoom, while being neck and neck, we've got Fightgarr really coming up from behind. Despite that tricky Krima layout, he's been pretty consistently catching up to the players here. And I do wonder if by the time they're reaching Piety, he's going to be ahead. He is utilizing, in my opinion, the better setup with that occasional blink arrow that's been saving him quite a bit of time. But so far, still behind. And UberElite now entering the Sarn encampment. I don't think is it called Sarn encampment?
That sounds good to me, dude. Sounds good to me.
No, Act 2 is encampment. Maybe this is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is an encampment. Something's not right. If anything, it's probably GGG devs naming the zone wrong. I think it's just Sarn, yeah. Well, it looks like an encampment to me, all right?
City of Sarn? Yeah, that works.
No, City of Sarn is the previous zone. Hello?
Yeah, no, that's the actual zone before it. I think it's just called Sarn.
No, yeah. It might
Look
be
at chat go.
Wow.
Looks like players all, potentially grabbing those buses as they go through the sewers if they get an opportunity. But DeadandDoom only got the 2 of 3, so in a little fit of rage, I like to think that he just kind of went, threw him on the ground grumpily at the end when he didn't get the 3rd bus. He's like, useless. Just threw it on the ground.
Listen, Ziggy, you're on your own for the next couple of minutes. All I'm paying attention to is whether or not it's an encampment, okay?
Important stuff.
You gotta manage yourself.
Pretty sure it's not Sun encampment, but you can take all the time.
It is.
I understand this is important to you.
I believe, and as motivational Twitters that I've been looking at over the years have proven to me, if I believe hard enough, then it is so, and that is starting encampment from now on.
Encampment, let's do it. UberElite's going for his piety kill. Let's test for viability with the arc trap. Pretty viable.
Pretty viable. It definitely worked out. Actually, it didn't have that instant kill, so maybe not as viable as UberElite was hoping for here, as the other players did get an instant kill. Okay, Uber, turn on your map. Do it.
Wait, what?
I'm about to log in. I gotta see if it's really just Sarn.
You want to see Sarn encampment?
Yeah. Encampment, absolutely.
Make sure you do those warm-ups and warm-downs before you do any exercise, so you don't get any nasty Sarn encampments. You gotta be careful of that one.
Okay.
Havoc links in the Discord. Sarn encampment. It is called Sarn encampment.
Wait, what? Is it? No.
What?
Okay, I'm logging in. Ziggy, fight.
Is this a real thing? It is? Oh my god.
No, we're getting in trouble.
Apparently it is called the Sarn encampment. I am.
Oh my god, it is! I'm a genius!
Alright, okay, fair enough. Rise is right along.
I actually can't believe it. I was right all along.
I can't believe it. You didn't even believe yourself.
I mean, it doesn't. Well, yeah. It's kind of an encampment. Alright.
Well, we all learned something today. Except Rise, who apparently knows all, sees all, and is all.
Yeah. As proven by the participants in this final. Because
yes.
I didn't make it, so I didn't quite know all of it. But we do have, yet again, just a friendly reminder, DeadandDoom in the top left, Waggle in the bottom left, Fightgarr in the top right, and UberElite in the bottom right. And UberElite's making up quite a bit of time here, with DeadandDoom actually opting to go for the XP strategy and going to the lower level zone early, as opposite to what you would typically do, which is run dogs, because you don't really care about experience, and it's just that slightly faster. But no, they go for the proper leveling strategy, which again clarifies that these players are looking to reach at least level 26 in Act 3, as they will be killing Dominus. And yeah, with that Solaris 2 waypoint, they're just slowly but steadily making their way through. Maybe not as slowly, but definitely steadily.
I can't verify, but chat is suggesting that maybe UberElite missed the waypoint in sewers. If so, he's definitely going to regret that a little bit later on.
No way. That's such a massive mistake. I don't believe he would do it, but...
it's like almost impossible to not click it. You pretty much have to walk over the top of it now. But
yeah.
If so, that is definitely a big issue.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is the sort of. I was
adamant about this.
This is the sort of mistakes that we will be seeing from players, as there is such a massive cash prize on the line. Knees weak, arms are heavy.
Yeah, it's a little scary. The shake's getting to you, spaghetti all over the shop.
Yep.
And sometimes just forgetting that little thing. And that's one of those little tiny things to forget, but it's such a big penalty to forgetting it. It's a little bit rough.
Yeah, that is a really, really, really big deal. We can't emphasize that enough. It's not as big of a deal as it used to be in the previous layouts, but still having to run all the way back. I don't know. The players did opt to go for the bust, so the faster left layout bust is better, but I'm not even sure if Uber's got any of those. And he is pretty far behind here. Honestly, at this point, he's either going to have some god progression through Act 4 and 5, utilizing some blink arrow action and just taking the risk of potentially jumping into the middle of mobs, or it might be looking like 4th place for Uber. So definitely Uber needs to power up here.
Definitely too early to call. And if I recall back to the last set of races, we saw UberElite claim himself a position just by playing super smooth and consistently, while all the other players went too fast and got themselves killed.
I see what you're saying, Ziggy. Somehow I feel like that's a personal attack, but I'll take it. Why do I feel personally attacked right now? I'm not exactly sure. DeadandDoom taking down Gravicious, the man with the best insults in the entirety of Ray Class.
Indeed. And also some of the best fan fiction out there as well.
Okay, not safe for work. I would like to mention, so do keep that in mind if you're frantically Googling right now. And you are at work.
I would just like to mention that Havoc said in the Discord, by the way, there's a race happening. Maybe Cast is getting a little bit distracted by things.
I think we're doing fine.
So players going for Gravicious for that Lightning Spire trap, which has some god tier added lightning damage potential for boss fights especially. And it's just the trap. It's a trap that sticks around. So you throw it down, and it sticks around for a while and just deals a bunch of extra damage. So the point is you can use that with your other traps and just gain like net positive damage and huge amounts of it too. So definitely a clear choice. That's why we'll be seeing a bit more Gravicious fan fiction written, inspired by this day, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely so. And especially the Lightning Spire trap will be proving to be a really good single target on the more static bosses. Maybe not necessarily as much on Piety, but if the players line them up just right. Oh no, excuse me, they won't be having level 28, but on a boss like Piety that moves around a little bit a little bit more, it would be less useful. But then if they do manage to somehow get level 28 for Dominus, that'd be great for that fight, as he does not move nearly as much. And then obviously Act 4 and Act 5 boss for the most part have just static bosses.
We'll be paying attention to Uber here to see if he did indeed miss that waypoint, and the reaction perhaps as he realizes so, if he hasn't realized by this point. Maybe he's already realized and he's like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to rerun it, and he stays stoic about it. But we'll wait and see if he has a reaction to that one.
Yeah, it's gonna be tricky, honestly. That is a very tricky position to make his way through, but maybe despite being a little bit slower. Oh my god, Uber just now hitting level 23 with already having Solaris Waypoint. He's not just struggling with those layouts and overall it's a little bit slower time, but also his density hasn't proven to be too great. I was hoping that he's going to be having level 24 here, but being level 23 entering docks, that's going to be very tricky. I think these players here won't even be looking to XP in Act 4, because if you have this sort of experience and you're not at least level 27 and a half, at least a minimum of 27, and you're killing Dominus, it is very difficult to XP in Act 4. Typically, prior to entering the mines, you're looking to at least be level 29, which is already tricky enough, but the optimal strategy would be level 30, but I don't think these players are going to be looking to get much above level 30, so we'll be seeing some definitely diverse strategies when it comes to gaining experience in Act 4 and the remainder of Act 3.
One of the make or break bosses here, Piety, has had many kills this season. You're not looking. Rise is closing his eyes. That is wise. Looks like D&D goes for killing the fire portal. He does not want to risk tangoing with that. And he, I think he sees Piety teleporting onto another one of the portals, goes out for the refresh, possibly refilling those flasks as well. Piety's down to halfway. He's stacking up those lightning traps against that pylon right there, which is allowing for them all to connect and gets huge damage to finish Piety off there. An excellent kill. It's all over. You can open your eyes now, Rise.
It's done?
It's done for the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, I see Waggle's heading on over, so he's pretty close with Fightgarr very shortly behind. Again, consistently he's been catching up. Fightgarr is an extremely good Act 3 player, with DeadandDoom showing a lot of class in Act 3 in the past, but honestly, Fightgarr might be outplaying him a little bit here, but that Act 2... Oh, okay, back to Piety.
Rise closes his eyes once again. Waggle open up with some big arc trap action. Piety also showing she's not afraid to throw out some lightning damage. A couple lightning bolts followed by a lightning storm. He moves out of the way. He tries to kill that fire portal, but he does not. Fireform jumps straight on top of him. Two big slaps. Rise, keep your eyes closed. Piety just moves out of fire form just before killing Waggle, and Waggle manages to secure a kill of his own. All right, you can open your eyes again now, Rise.
Okay, solid. So yeah, the second you say Piety's about to die, I open my eyes just to see her dropping. I also turn on the volume to maximum just to hear her scream.
For that immersion. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, well, I think Waggle might have been saved by a bear trap there. Stop the fireform from finishing him
nice.
off. That was
yes,
cool.
still utilizing the bear trap. Very cool.
Yeah, that bear trap's a big deal in terms of the highly mobile bosses. It can lock them in, animations where they decide to move somewhere and they just don't get anywhere. Yep. And not to mention, the increased damage taken on those lightning traps. It's a perfect utility skill that the players really want to be using the full potential in these races. Yeah.
The walk of shame from Uber. Fortunately, we didn't mention it too much, so that people maybe didn't pay as much attention to it as they should have, but that definitely puts him quite a bit behind. And honestly, it's looking tricky right now.
I feel for him right now. It's one of those such easy little mistakes to make, but just stings so much. Like, it's got to hurt so much when you realize that, oh no, whoops.
No, Fightgarr making his way over to Piety, with Waggle not picking up the waypoint in Imperial Gardens. I really do wonder what sort of level these players are going to be landing on here, especially for Fightgarr, who does, again, not have the Alira.
Fightgarr gets excellent arc trap placements against that wall where Piety starts off. You can tell he has practiced that. Huge amounts of damage, all of the traps connecting from that multi-trap. And Piety's already really low, manages to kill off one of the portals, gets a kill before she even changes forms. Easily done.
Wow.
That wasn't even a very scary fight. You probably could have kept your eyes open through that fight there, Rise. It was not too scary at all.
Nice.
Not very spooky.
You know what I do? I'm looking at the multi-twitch, but then the second the fight starts, I switch on over to Havoc stream, and then that way I don't have to see the fight either way because of the stream delay. Smart. 200 IQ.
Okay. Interesting strategy right there.
Yep.
I'm gonna make a horror movie just for you, Rise. It's gonna be like it, but inside the sewer, there's gonna be just Piety down there.
It's a Piety kill compilation. Yeah, well.
Yeah. Would you like this red balloon, Rise QT?
I'm okay, I think.
Oh, beautiful.
Uh-oh. Waggle cursed with a Warlord's Mark, making it extra tricky to progress through that Scepter of God, but manages it perfectly. No mobs around them. Why get hit when you can just not instead? And yeah, slowly he's making his way up to Dominus.
D&D just about to start Dominus. I've really been appreciating how close this has been between D&D, Waggle, and Fightgarr, though UberElite has fallen a little bit behind due to some mistakes. Ooh, Fightgarr just getting shredded by porcupines. Wow. Decides to log out. I think he was safe when he logged, though. And
Well,
he has to backtrack a little bit now. But he's like playing it extra safe. Does not want to suffer the death. But I mean, he's basically getting a minute penalty here anyway.
yeah.
I think all
that is a
porcupines
pretty
were
big
dead and done
ranking.
when he logged. It was just like a bit of a delayed logout reaction.
Holy
damage.
Wowie.
PG cast, Rise, PG cast. Holy
Wowee.
shiitake mushrooms.
Yep.
Wowee. That was,
Shiitake mushrooms.
Whoa, that was some damage right there. Again, just a perfect example of that perfectly positioned arc traps, utilizing that wall to ensure that all three of the traps connect. Dominus a slightly bigger target. Rabbit form even bigger
Lightning
again.
Spire trap is the big factor here with DeadandDoom having already reached level 28. So yeah, honestly, this is an incredibly respectable Dominus time, being under 54 potentially here, and being level 28. That's super impressive.
Yeah, hitting 28 just right before that Dominus kill actually that's a pretty big deal. Like having that Lightning Spire trap ready to go at that exact moment. I think that's a refined plan being executed right there to make sure that he hits 28 right just before Dominus.
I cannot emphasize enough on Fightgarr. Okay, he uses a fight. Wow, those are perfect colors, right? For an arc trap. That's a 4-link arc trap for Fightgarr in his gloves.
Ooh. Nice, yeah.
Okay, nice. Getting that chrome, hitting it just right, at the right angle. Damn, that's absolutely
he's got the
going to be
falling
helpful.
chest as well. Anyway, so either way, he's got he's got a set of 4 links there to utilize whatever he wants.
Wow. I didn't even look at that. Well, that is a chest piece that you do have to have equipped, but most of these players here have a chest piece. Actually, everybody does.
Yeah, I think at this point they all want to be running it anyway. Just for that extra survivability is going to be pretty necessary moving forwards.
Oh, very interesting. The single target here is looking really great with that Lightning Spire trap. And honestly, again, I cannot emphasize enough how tricky it is to hit level 28 for Dominus as a Shadow player in the past who had to hit level 28 for Dominus to be able to utilize Flame Blast for your kill, as Shadow did not get Firestorm and still doesn't, by the way. GGG, what's up with that? But getting level 28 takes quite a bit of overkilling, and it's really, really tricky to have a very optimal time, such as these players have had with, again, DeadandDoom doing it under 54 and Waggle doing it under 55. That's super impressive. Honestly, even a time like 58 or so here is a pretty respectable time that these players could be looking at with these sort of levels. These players are 7 levels higher than what you guys have seen previously, with very respectable 51-minute Dominus kills. So to be able to do it just 2 minutes slower, as DeadandDoom has, while being 7 levels higher, that's insane.
I don't even know how the math works out on that. That's like several levels a minute right there.
Yeah.
DeadandDoom swapping some gear right behind some tentacle miscreations, gets a massive barrage but manages to weather the storm. Looks like our final piety kill of the day will be coming up here. He's utilizing that wall, but I don't know if he's standing close enough to her. Yeah, he does not get all of the traps to connect, so loses a bit of damage there on that opening phase. She does go for the teleport. Looks like she's going to be queuing up another teleport somewhere. I don't know if Uber has seen where it was. It's down in the bottom right over there. And she does go ice for me. Didn't see it. Manages to dodge the one set of arrows there. Hides behind the pillar. Just decides to play it safe. And you'll be able to finish off Piety here while she's stunned, absolutely. Gets the kill. Nicely done, Uber.
Okay, unfortunately, I cut the finishing part of that fight as the stream delay was not long enough for me to skip the entirety of it. But that also goes to show that maybe some of these other players have had a much smoother Piety, because UberElite's fight did seem quite a bit longer. He also has a 4-link, by the way, in his chest piece. In his chest piece. Can you believe it?
I can believe it. I'm looking at it right now, and it looks good. We're just seeing that Vol kill from DeadandDoom, and I would just like to point out brand new content right here for the Path of Exile community races. We have not had any races that have gone this far yet. DeadandDoom showing us there is more acts in Path of Exile.
Wow.
Did you know? Yeah. There's a whole 4th act, and then a couple others after that, I think, if I recall correctly.
Well, fortunately, Fortunately, we won't have to be tormented with that, as this race is only up until Kitava, so that's all that we're going to be seeing. Only the nice part of Path of Exile. Nobody needs the rest of it.
A 2-hour race definitely at this pace is already a marathon race, though. To be as focused as possible for that length of race, to be as competitive these guys are trying to be here, that's that takes some energy out of you. Going for Act 10 would be pretty insane.
Yeah, I really do wonder about these sort of times here. I think a lot of these players were hoping, wow, DeadandDoom with a 4-link too. Waggle right now is the only player without a 4-link.
I think DeadandDoom just secured that 4-link with a fusing, and I believe a singular fusing at that.
And he has another one in his inventory too.
Yeah, I think he's got a spare. So, yeah, you're getting a little bit of that DeadandDoom luck right there, potentially.
That's incredibly impressive. Honestly, a lot of players take 4-links for granted, but when racing, you're frequently going to be finding yourself, even in Act 4, finishing of Act 4, Act 5, sometimes even Act 6, without a 4-link, just trying to camp out those resistances and have safer fights more than anything. So for 3 players out of 4 to have a 4-link here is incredibly lucky for them, and also, considering the circumstances, incredibly unlucky for Waggle, and he's got quite a bit of ground to make up here.
Yeah, Waggle looks like he's the only one still not running that chest armor, opting for that few percentage points of extra speed here.
Okay.
We'll see. He's playing a little risky. I mean, he's not using that Arctic armor. He's not using that chest armor. He's just going for it, man. He's punching for it. He's like, I'm taking D&D down. He's throwing his all in.
Does have
Death or glory.
Yeah, he's almost got 700 HP with UberElite and Fightgarr being a little bit lower level, yeah, but they're not really picking up any HP notes, and they do have only 570 and 540 HP, so almost 150 HP less than Waggle, with obviously DeadandDoom actually not having the highest HP out of anybody. I thought he did, but no, he doesn't.
Yeah, I saw 880, and then I realized he had a massive shrine. I was like, how does he have 190 more HP at this point? How do you even do that? It was the massive shrine, so
you're DeadandDoom, then you do it.
Lower. That's like some top tier life rolls on every piece of gear at this point.
Oh wow, Waggle opting to skip the spirit despite seeing it right there.
Waggle, what? Get out of there, buddy. Oh, expertly flame dashed away. Okay. A little bit of a swervy flame dash. Serpentine movements to dodge all the projectiles. Nicely done, Waggle. Surviving a very, very close encounter right there.
Holy moly, what is Fightgarr doing? His fight with Vol was instantaneous. That was crazy. Those 2 4-links and the 20 spell damage. Plague Weaver, Driftwood Wand.
He gets a drill neck. Fightgarr gets a drill neck. Just vendors it straight up. He's not going to be taking advantage of that drill neck this race. Unfortunately. Get it out of you. It's a couple extra transmute shards there.
He doesn't even have a 4-link on his Lightning Spire. Currently, it's just being Lightning Spire, Control Destruction, Trap, and Mind damage. With his last socket being green, I believe his only option would be a Culling Strike. So he doesn't even opt to go for that.
Cold. But,
added cold would be super helpful, actually.
Yeah, but I guess he's just determined it's not worth going back to Act 1 to pick one up, right? Like, it's not worth the extra time, so... I don't know, like, it's a decent amount of extra damage, but a whole town trip back to Act 1 is maybe not worth it for him.
I would imagine that it is, honestly. I think he's going to be doing it eventually. I believe he's forgetting, as I did just now, because that's an incredibly useful gem to have. Those flat damage numbers support gems are just so freaking good early on.
Yeah, possible that he's forgotten, but maybe just he's like, yeah, I'll grab it later when I'm gonna do some more bosses or something.
Well,
he'll stay leveled up in the vent. Oh, Veigar just dies instantly.
Yo.
Types of WoW in chat. So what that was the unique boss in here with the sunders and the little stone call effects, and there was a substantial increased physical damage rare on top of it. So just that's
that'll
already
do it.
physical damage boss and getting a massive buff to its physical damage just instantly dies. So super unlucky there. But
very easy to instantly die to that boss in general.
Yeah, even without the sub phys, the substantial physical buff though, just making sure. And there it is. There you can see the rare almost died, but Fightgarr went down first. So our first death of the race, Fightgarr getting a +1 minute penalty. Not what he wants right now. He's been kind of only slightly behind Waggle and D&D, trying to keep up. 1 minute penalty is not going to help him with that.
Yep, absolutely. So DeadandDoom and Waggle opting to not do the skips in Act 4, so they are still looking to pick up a lot more XP. Maybe they're looking to get level 36 or so for Innocence and Kitava, which is quite interesting because so far they've had pretty good uptime on their experience, with DeadandDoom just now hitting level 31, which is definitely very nice. Maybe a lot of players aren't too familiar with Act 4, so we can just real quick highlight some of the strategies as you're going to be paying attention to DeadandDoom's screen right now. He heads on over to the right zone initially, opting to, again, not skip, so he's trying to keep up experience. One of the bigger factors on how you can do that is by getting on over to the waypoint, as DeadandDoom will. You can see that there's a 1 level zone difference between the previous zone and this zone. He picks up the waypoint and then immediately heads back on over to Comb's Dream. And again, the reason for that is because Comb's Dream is a level 37 zone, with the next Deresso zone and the next Comb zone being level 38. So by being these zones being lower level, he can get the maximum amount of experience out of them, considering that he is level 31 right now, which allows him to further increase his XP without a penalty. And I think a lot of these other players are going to be looking to do the same thing. Waggle sitting on that silver flask still, and also picking up the waypoint next to Deresso, and staying almost seemingly on top of DeadandDoom so far, but not quite getting ahead. Neither of the players get the big skip in the Comb zone, but I don't believe that they have anything that they could utilize to get on over there. So definitely not hurting them in this case scenario, but possibly with UberElite and Fightgarr, they might be making up a lot of time as long as they've got experience in those next Deresso and Comb zones.
Yeah, for players that don't know about the skips, there's a lot of cool skips that players can do here in Act 4 with using Blink Arrow or Lightning Maul, but Blink Arrow is usually the main one to go to just on a weapon swap, like we've seen some of the players already have equipped. There is the Lava Waterfalls or the Lava Falls here in Calm's area that you can... it doesn't look like you can jump up them, but if you just target the right spot, you can actually jump up them and skip sometimes half of the entire zone, so that's a huge skip. And then the little arena fighting areas on the Calm's side of things can also be skipped. You can skip that actual whole lock-in event if you just stand at the edge of one entrance and blink arrow to the other entrance. You can actually skip that whole fight. But the fact that DeadandDoom didn't do that when we've seen him do that in a previous race, I think Raz is right. He's just wanting to get that XP right now, and that's a lot of mobs to kill. So not really worth the extra effort of taking the skip then if you want the XP anyway.
Well, typically when you do hit level 32, well, honestly, DeadandDoom's timing is impeccable because, again, he hits level 32 right as he enters the level 38 zone, which, again, would allow him to just further XP. And XPing he is, trying to just make those Comb and Deresso and possibly Malachi and also Kitava and Innocence fights.
Ooh, Exile fight here. Mr. Demon Tamer throwing out the lightning damage, but D&D's lightning damage is the Vile Storm Call almost gets him after securing the kill though. A little scary right there. He gets a big extra lightning damage wand right there. Pretty good amount of lightning damage, some cast speed, which mainly really affects that flame dash for him, not much else. Oh, it affects the DPS of the lightning spire. Yeah, that's true.
That also helps out. I really wonder about Fightgarr also not opts to skip. As far as I'm concerned, I wasn't quite paying attention to his run here, but again, if you do skip those zones, then you miss out on a lot of experience. Actually, Fightgarr continuing his run. What level is he?
Not splitting up either way. Interesting.
Okay, so these are the diverse strategies that we were talking about earlier, with most of these players opting to get experience, but Fightgarr deeming the Grand Arena not worth his time and just attempts to progress to the Reso as fast as possible. Very interesting strategy. If he is not level 32, I believe he's going to be getting hurt here quite a bit.
Apparently, Fightgarr maybe did skip the arenas. I missed it myself as we were paying attention
Oh,
to some of the
okay.
other races. But yeah, it seems like he's maybe just skimming and looking to slow down on his, hit the brakes a little bit on his XPing. And maybe he's not
Interesting.
shooting for as high a level for his actual Kitava Kill. DeadandDoom just shredding Mr. Cow while Fightgarr shreds the mini bosses there. DeadandDoom eats a leap slam. There's a couple fireballs landing around him there as well. The fireballs spawn right underneath him. DeadandDoom opens his friends list. He's trying to check the positions of everyone right now. Wait until the end of the fight, DeadandDoom. He almost dies for it, but does not get punished for the misplay. He manages to survive somehow. That was we're close right there. We have often seen DeadandDoom open up that friends list just to see where the other racers are, so we can check, you know, if he's in the lead still. And he did it a little bit prematurely there. A little scary. Whew.
Fightgarr having that Deresified, which is very tricky. He only has 600 HP, 1 life potion, with only 1 charge now. Sitting on the swords, no charges. Okay, TP's out. Plays it a little bit safe, as it has been pretty risky, but Fightgarr is level 31, almost level 32, so his levels are still looking very good. And honestly, if he gets the lucky layout in the comb zone, he can catch up a full minute, which would only put him about maybe a minute behind the other players here. So
I think it's highly likely that his death has informed his decision here. He might have been originally planning to go for that higher level, but now he's like, I just need to focus on progression at this point because, you know, I'm in it to win it, and at this point, I need to do something else. Maybe play a riskier strategy like going to Kitava at a bit of a lower level.
Well, he still has pretty good levels. I know, unfortunately, he does not get the big skip, but he still has a second skip in the zone, which can still save him about 20 or so seconds. But his levels are still looking pretty great, honestly. It doesn't seem like he's giving up on getting that higher level just yet. It's just that he XP'd quite a bit more in Act 3 and the start of Act 4. And it's just been really working out.
For a skip? No, he realizes he can't get that one. He did get one of the skips earlier in the Dresso zone. So Uber is also pulling out all the stops here to try and catch up.
Okay, nice. DeadandDoom actually making up a lot of ground here. Absolutely. With Waggle dropping low to the Reso, players did modify. Okay, now he's modifying his gear. He didn't have quite enough cold resistance. Now putting himself at 75%, which will definitely benefit him a lot in this fight. DeadandDoom finishing up his Reso. Going pretty well for him. Waggle timing out the Reso very well, utilizing that lightning spire trap, pulling the Reso into his trap. Great positioning from him, and also a quite clean fight the second he switched out to that Sapphire ring. Definitely a worthwhile strategy to have multiple Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz rings and just switch them out whenever needed for Act 4. And I do believe that that also is the strategy that we're going to be seeing from a lot of these players here in Act 5, as resistances are quite useful, but also just never happen. Wow, Fightgarr having a very tough time to have this skip. Typically, if you are surrounded by mobs, it makes it very tricky to skip. And honestly, we ran the majority of that, and then what exactly happened? He ran all the way through and then ran back to perform the skip, at which point it really wasn't benefiting him all that much. So
a bit of a long cut, perhaps, at that point. I would just like to
show off.
Like, how close has this been between DeadandDoom this whole time and Waggle? This whole time, these guys have been so close together. And in an hour and 12 minutes that this has been so far, there's so much that has happened or could have happened at this point to separate out all the players and, you know, have them be at different points in the race. Like, it's just so much difference, so much variance in both their plays and misplays and, you know, just the random stuff that happens in the game, gear and mobs and layouts and all that. And they're still, like, so close together. It's crazy.
Does Fightgarr have a... Oh, okay, it's a bubbling flask in general. I thought possibly it was one of those, I think it's saturated, that heals him up instantly if he is on low life. But he's been really utilizing the bubbling flask, but having only one life flask and it being a half instant flask, that makes for some pretty tricky play. He definitely has to micromanage his flasks in just better than the other players here. Because if he gets hit by any sort of degen, there is a high probability that he's going to have to TP out of the fight. But he does have 7 portal scrolls. Trying to roll. Uh-oh, he won't be getting that essence. No. Oh.
Waggle beats DeadandDoom 2, the new party here.
Oh,
DJ Piesto is going to spin that, but just shreds her before she even gets a full rotation in. Very nicely done.
Waggle's styling on Piety too, going for the flame dash beam skip. Unfortunately, she does die right before, but he was about to style real hard. Let's see if DeadandDoom is going for the class act too. Okay, looking pretty solid. He's not styling. There's no room to style because she just dies instantly. Wow, the Lightning Spire really put in work. And even in a fight such as this one where you can't quite position your Arc Trap, players opt to not switch out to maybe add a cold or so instead of the multi-trap, and instead fully utilize the Lightning Spire with the Conductivity Curse and just shred through those bosses.
Lightning Trap and Lightning Spire Trap proving that you don't need to know the boss fight mechanics in that last party form. Though for some of these fights coming up here, they certainly do want to be knowing the mechanics. And Waggle taking on one of the potentially scary ones here, DeadandDoom, who when she gets low starts throwing out triple balls of physical death. And if you're caught on that vulnerability curse section, when that hits you, then you are gonskis. But he manages to just dodge, only getting hit by one of those balls and secures the kill. DeadandDoom, in the meantime, taking on his DeadandDoom. She's going down very fast to those Lightning Spires. He might be able to get the kill before she gets an attack in. Throws out one more ball, but he dodges it and logs to go straight back to the waypoint.
Yeah, and also an interesting choice difference there, as Dodgery does consume any sort of curse, granting her Unholy Might, which allows her to deal extra chaos damage. And you could see that Waggle actually did go for the riskier strategy and decided to curse her, while DeadandDoom did not curse her at all and instead opted to go for the safer kill.
I did not see him cursing her there. That's certainly a risky strategy right there. That Unholy Might is super scary. If you've ever wondered why DeadandDoom just sometimes randomly kills you, it's probably because you cursed her without realizing. You have like a blasphemy curse or something like that. She eats curses, man. That's what she does. Waggle just insta-killing Malagara right there. He goes down. D&D starting his Shav fight. UberElite looks like he shredded his Calm in the background there. No worries at all. Shav goes down instantly for D&D. Waggle starting Malachi first. He is dabbing on DeadandDoom right now, if you'll allow me an outdated meme right now.
Okay. Okay, Ziggy. Well, they did XP all the way through it. Waggle being almost level 35, so not only being further ahead on progression at this point, but also having that little bit extra XP. It does seem like level 35 will be the level that these players are looking to get here. Maybe again level 36, but I do believe that with level 35 their Arc Trap is leveling and they're not really looking to level up their Lightning Spire Trap, which I'm not exactly sure when exactly gets the level. But both players so far having a pretty smooth Malachi fight.
First phase down from Waggle. He'll be moving into second phase first here. And DeadandDoom looks like he's just finishing up things here as well, waiting for that piety spearing action to begin. I think this is going to be a very fast Malachi kill. Arc Trap, Lightning Spire Trap just absolutely shreds Malachi. And these guys have been doing very, very well here. You can see those hearts just die instantly. We're going a little low to one of the mines there. There's still definitely some danger here, but they get the kills so fast that makes the fight a bit safer than it otherwise can be.
And do keep in mind that with traps, it makes it significantly easier to deal with those traps on the floor, as Malachi's traps are those little red circles. They are considered traps, so you can put down a trap on top of them.
Did DeadandDoom just die in the Malachi fight? I think I blinked and missed it. He just like instantly jumped back in there. I think he died.
Okay,
He
I was
actually
looking
died.
at Waggle's screen. Okay, well, yeah, I mean, considering that he is regular level, you would be this level if you were to be doing the content regularly as they are preparing for those Act 5 bosses. That must sting. Ripping here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went down, he types a GG, I lost. He realizes this is that close, that one death is pretty much make or break here. The race is definitely not over. There's a lot more chances for both of them to die, a whole bunch more. But oh yeah, that is unexpected. You guys can hopefully forgive us, the casters, for not expecting DeadandDoom to die, because that was not expected at all. My eyes were split 3 ways between UberElite taking on his Duresso, while Waggle and D&D were both doing Malachi there. Did not catch that death, but I think it was just like
crazy. That must really sting. It's been such a close race, and it's absolutely not over, as DeadandDoom mentions. But that negative mindset might just hurt him, as he did seem overall pretty frustrated with how he's been doing in this race. He has been XPing quite a bit, but to my understanding, a lot of these players were looking at times between 120 and a maximum of 130 Kitava kills, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be an under 130 kill for any of these players here.
Yeah, a little bit of death, adding that 1 minute penalty for DeadandDoom, and yeah, maybe not quite making that exact pace, but nonetheless, Waggle and D&D have both started Act 5. D&D moving in there with a penalty. Waggle, so far, playing flawlessly, which is surprising considering he's played the riskiest strategy for the most part. You know, not having that chest armor equipped, not going for that Arctic armor, unlike DeadandDoom, but the Arctic armor did not save him. DeadandDoom going low again there.
Yeah, DeadandDoom definitely trying to do as much as possible, but you can see through his playstyle that he's playing quite face tanky. It's like, oh, a vulnerability curse and everything's wailing on me. I don't care. I'm gonna just keep going. I'm gonna kill them before they kill me, and it might punish him here. He needs to really take a step back, take a breather for a second, which is very difficult in these races, and just realize that, hey, I still have a very serious chance of being the first one to kill Kitava here.
With how Waggle has been like always within a minute of DeadandDoom though, so if it remains like that, then DeadandDoom's gonna have a hard time getting a 1 minute lead on Waggle to be able to secure the victory here. So it's gonna be close.
Okay, now it's
Waggle,
really close.
Never mind.
That's a huge zone to rerun. And DeadandDoom's back in it. Waggle getting rained on with the lightning burst from that one mob, which typically doesn't deal. Wow, he's got 64 lightning resistance. That's insane. He must have gotten critted.
That must have been just a massive.
No, that must be with a flask up. There's no way. Does he have a Quicksilver flask of resistance?
He does have a resistance flask. So
okay,
Quicksilver flask might have been up when he checked right there.
Yeah, then he must have had about 40 lightning resistance, which is still significant, but every now and then that boss can just dish out so much damage, and he almost had him dead too. At this point, they're even on penalties as both players have died once. And
Waggle lost a lot of ground there though. That was like,
that's a big zone to rerun.
Yeah, that was way worse than DeadandDoom's death right there. He had to rerun so much, and that puts DeadandDoom back in the lead for sure.
UberElite
big change there.
UberElite's piety running away from his lightning spire trap as he types question marks. Incredibly frustrating situation, as he probably does realize he is significantly behind a lot of these other players that have already finished Malachi as he's heading over to the harvest. So not quite happy with his performance, but honestly, considering these rips and the upcoming content, he still has a pretty reasonable chance to maybe yet again have maybe the slowest time, but the safest one, and that might still allow him to just have a good score, as Waggle with that rip must be quite frustrated, and DeadandDoom with the previous rip must be quite frustrated too, as he's displayed just a second ago. So who knows, maybe this tilt will continue and they'll continue to ripperoni, and UberElite can just come up from behind as he likes to do and just take the win here.
I'm man, this race has already been incredible, and I think the most eventful parts are going to be here in Act 5 as well, because I mean, I've seen some Kitava kills that have a lot of death in them, so
Yeah.
we'll wait and see what happens there.
Especially if you've got, I mean, DeadandDoom being the highest HP by far, and not even at 8,000. Typically, if you're just having a regular playthrough, you're probably going to be looking at, you know, 1,200, 300. Sometimes players are going to even have upwards of 1,600, 800, maybe even sometimes. I've seen players have 2,000 HP, but these guys have less than half of that, and that makes for a pretty tricky fight, as a lot of the big attacks will one-shot you, especially if you don't have high resistances. But I do think that with Lightning Spire Trap and with the stacking of Multi-Trap, Arc Trap, Kitava itself will be a lot less tricky as Innocence can be, because you do need to get quite a bit closer to utilize your Lightning Spire Trap. You have to position your Arc Trap correctly, as you can't really pull him under a wall. And then on top of it, if Innocence really feels like it, you can just run away from your Lightning Spire Trap, and that's that. You've lost all your cooldowns, and your fight's significantly longer.
We apparently have the technology to do an instant, maybe not so instant replay of DeadandDoom's death that we missed there. But I don't know if we're going to have time to fit it in here. We've got UberElite coming up to Malachi, and DeadandDoom coming up to Innocence pretty soon. Maybe we can sneak it in between the Malachi and Innocence kills here. See what we can do.
Yeah, I think if there is a time, there's no time like now, as very shortly DeadandDoom will be at Innocence, and we might need another instant replay to see yet another rip, but hopefully not.
Queue up those delayed instant replays. Here comes UberElite's Malachi fight.
Well, we do have the instant replay going on right now. Oof, okay, he gets wailed.
Smacked down by that fireball there. Okay. Ouch. That was very quick, and he got straight back in the fight. That's how he missed it. It was almost kind of like comedic death, the way he like ran into that fireball and fell backwards. It was glorious.
Yep. Very slow shadow fall back. Well, players still actually killing quite a bit of mobs. DeadandDoom XPing very well. Very interesting choice. I mean, yeah, so far the Arc and Lightning Spire traps have been really showing what we've been talking about all along, where, yeah, you don't have as much mobility as you would with that Sunder Leap Slam setup, but simply just the sheer amount of single target damage getting dished out by the Shadow here has proven to be just so strong, and has made for significantly safer fights overall. But despite that, we've still had some rips, and yeah, hopefully for us the rips will continue, but hopefully for the players they won't.
But hopefully they happen in an even-handed fashion across the playing field.
Yeah,
keep the competition nice and close. Waggle's rip was just crazy though, like the just that instant one, like basically that one barrage just instant killing him.
It must have been a crit.
Yeah, possibly a crit. Also that high variance on the lightning damage, like top end lightning crit, something like that. That was crazy. Very unexpected. Often that boss just feels like it does nothing, but then every now and then it'll hit you real hard and you'll be like, whoa, I was not expecting that. And Waggle was not expecting it.
Still, Waggle makes up quite a bit of time, as DeadandDoom is already on Innocence, dealing a ton of damage. It won't get too tricky for DeadandDoom until that second phase, where you do need to optimize your trap usage quite a bit more to be able to get full damage out of that Lightning Spire trap, but it's looking pretty good.
The Innocence is fight is a pretty long fight here of that Avarius first phase and then the Innocence spawn. There's a couple locked out phases here, but all players do have to go through them, so it is even. The things that are not even though is how much of a jerk Innocence decides to be, whether he goes multiple balls phases, whether he goes multiple beams that you have to spend time running around him rather than DPSing, and see how things play out for Waggle and D&D right here.
No, looking pretty solid from Waggle. DeadandDoom did have a little bit longer phase there, as Innocence did decide, like you mentioned, to lock himself into one of the beams, and that just took too much time overall, allowing Waggle to catch up a little bit more, and it's gonna be close.
Looks like DeadandDoom is moving to about halfway here. We'll see whether his Innocence cooperates. Going into another beam phase, you can still DPS a bit during that beam. It's not quite as bad as the ball phase where you actually just have to get out of there. But so not too bad, not too much bad luck for DeadandDoom here in this fight. Waggle starting his second phase, pre-trapping a little bit there, mistiming slightly, but getting enough of it to connect to do a decent amount of damage here. Beam phase for Waggle goes very low.
Waggle, calm down, buddy.
Yeah. Chillax, Waggle.
Is he still in a Sapphire ring? His resistances must not be looking too great, as he did almost die immediately to that beam. That being said, DeadandDoom finishing up his Innocence without any sort of rip, and will be now making it all the way over to Kitava. Waggle on his last phase of Innocence has to get through those ads first, or excuse me, actually second to last, so still a little bit more to go. Innocence opening up the fight with a beam. That should be enough for Waggle to reach another phase, but no, Innocence actually decides to go for the zoom still. Some seconds lost here. Every second will count here, because yeah, it's extremely close. Both of these players being on the same penalty, with Fightgarr coming up a little bit from behind, but he hasn't been able to catch up just enough. And UberElite still utilizing his slow and steady strategy, getting a 50 life ring, I think.
Things are pretty spicy from here on out. There is almost no time at all between the Innocence kill and the Kitava fight. So we'll be seeing those guys make it there very soon. They have a couple zones to run, and then they'll be there. Fightgarr is moving in on his Innocence kill as well, and UberElite doing the earlier parts of the act progression. Still has a little bit to go before he gets to his Innocence. Doing what he can to catch up here at this point.
Fightgarr is still on one death, right? Just to be clear, he died to the physical mob, right? In mines.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think you're right about that.
A little bit unfortunate. That one extra minute would have made all the difference for him now, to be honest, with the other players running the ossuary and him still making his way over to Innocence. Honestly, a 1 minute Innocence, kind of probable. And Kitava, you never know how it's going to go. And if any of these players get hit by just about anything in the Kitava fight, they will perish immediately. On the fortunate part, they can pre-trap the ad phase pretty early, which can be quite tricky for somebody who's maybe looking for a more casual playthrough. Those ads have proven to be quite difficult to deal with in the past, at least for me.
Yeah, there is high potential of a lot of deaths here in Kitava. The big advantage that players have going for them, because pretty much anything Kitava can do, like you said, can outright kill them, even those fast punches. The big advantage they have is just pure damage, and that's why they've gone for this strategy. They want to, as much as possible, just instantly skip through the phases. That is exactly what they're going for here.
Well, DeadandDoom already having ossuary done. Waggle getting a L run in his zone, extending his layout a little bit. I don't know if it's going to be enough. DeadandDoom's going to have to pull a pepperoni here, I think, for Waggle to really make it all the way over. He is about a minute behind, and again, they are on the same sort of penalty, so it's all in the hands of DeadandDoom.
Oh, it's so close now, man. It's so close. Oh, man, I can't believe how bad Waggle's rip was, though. If it had just been a boss death like DeadandDoom's, these guys would still be exactly neck and neck, but the fact that Waggle had to rerun that whole zone, that's it. Like, that, honestly, that is it. Unless something else happens here, that might have been the one thing that separated these two guys right now. It's amazing to see how close they've been.
Yeah, that rerun of that zone is a really big deal. And yeah, it's probably going to be making all the difference. DeadandDoom picking up the HP node doesn't seem to have anything better, as he did get maybe even a slightly higher level than he was anticipating. Beginning the Kitava fight, he does have a static shrine on him, so Kitava is shocked, and yeah, that's enough damage to immediately skip to the next phase, but he gets pretty unlucky.
Ooh, second swipe. So not
Okay.
quite getting that skip.
Yeah, he didn't quite get it, and then got a second swipe too. I think he thought that he was done. It did look like that from my perspective too, but no, he had a little bit more to go. But in reality, considering the static shrine, his damage.
The shot ground, very nice advantage for this fight. Absolutely.
Yep.
Kitava going for the bubbles, but he misses it. Nicely done, where he dodges it. Picks the right line, runs straight out the outside, rather than taking a risk and going the wrong direction there. Goes through the ad phase. Archetype does an excellent job as well as Lightning Spire on this ad phase, but those ads, very dangerous, especially the little shaman one that appears. It's going to be very scary.
Yep, sending out whenever you're doing this fight, make sure to pay attention to either Kitava's hands, but also the hands of the ads too, which send out the ground slam or sunder like shockwaves. So that's something that's going to allow you to skip. Ooh, okay, DeadandDoom dodges the barrels, dodges the slams.
He's doing this well so far. He picks the right line, almost runs the wrong way there, but slightly veers off right at the last moment to avoid one of those explosions. Nicely done. Here comes his second ad phase. He's going to be paying careful attention to where those unique ads spawn, because those guys are super dangerous. He's trying to put as much distance between himself and them as possible. DeadandDoom's playing this really well. Ooh, goes a little low to the ads there.
Getting nailed by the flicker, getting hit a second time, not getting hit by the Sunder so far, but almost goes down. He's down to his last portal, so he has to do it here. Can he
Waggle's
do
just
it?
now starting his fight. It really just comes down to whether DeadandDoom goes down here or not, because he's on pace to get this win right now, and he gets it. Nicely done right there. Nicely done. DeadandDoom securing the win in an incredible close race. Congratulations to DeadandDoom. He'll be taking home 40% of that prize money, of that $1,000 prize pool right there. But it is not over now. Waggle gets
Fightgarr can catch up.
Fightgarr can catch up here. So the fight is not, I was about to say, the fight is not over. And Waggle goes down to an arms fight.
Fightgarr can catch up. Oh my god.
I think Fightgarr definitely has every opportunity to catch up now. Waggle could not make another mistake like that, or he's throwing away second place.
Come on, Waggle. Get it together, man. What is happening right now? Waggle has 2 deaths on the Kitava fight, especially with the second one being so extremely unfortunate. He simply sits on the hand. You can see the tilt in his play, but that gives Fightgarr an extra 2 minutes to get into the Kitava fight. Oh my god, this is gonna be really close.
Oh
my god, Waggle!
Oh no, Waggle! Dude!
Okay, now it's officially out of the hands of Waggle and in the hands of Fightgarr. If he does have a perfectly played Kitava fight, he's actually gonna be getting second place.
It's
oh my god, and if Waggle dies again, then DeadandDoom can possibly catch up.
There's still potential for some more deaths here, Rise. It's almost like Waggle knew the moment that DeadandDoom had finished and officially secured the race, and his heart was just maybe not in it anymore. He wanted the win or nothing. And oh man, those deaths. Al's just getting hit by every possible nasty thing there. Even the snipe of the gets hit by another explosion. Just
Waggle,
survived that one though. Waggle too. Oh no.
I'm losing my goddamn mind here. Waggle, come on, man. Did he get it? Okay, he got it. He died 4 times. Fightgarr being on 1 death. He has 3 minutes to finish, begin and finish his Kitava fight.
I don't know. I don't know how long the phases on Kitava itself takes, because there's a fair bit of downtime while he does his animations.
If Fightgarr doesn't die, I believe he has it. He even might have a chance to die once, because the fight takes about 2 minutes altogether if you don't get anything crazy happening. So officially, Fightgarr is looking to beat 139.34. So he's got 2 minutes and about 20 seconds to
it might be
finish this
just
fight.
enough if he plays this perfectly and maximizes his DPS during this fight, doesn't get hit by anything, the classic PoE strategy, then it might be enough. Dodges the punch, very nicely done. Second fast punch on the edge there. You got to watch out for those ones. Those can sneak up on you. Those punches are much
2
faster
minutes
than
to
the
go.
regular ones. The first ad phase and heart here. He's on the far side of the unique ad there. The unique ad goes down pretty much instantly, securing a nice safe phase here. Perfect. He's doing it. He's playing everything perfectly so far. Let's see what Kitava can throw out at him here.
He does have
Kitava.
200 more life than Waggle did in this fight. Dodges the slam.
Ooh,
he can't die anymore. He can't die. At this point,
No,
he would
if
have
he
to
dies,
finish
it's
the fight
over.
in 30 seconds. If he dies, it is over.
He almost doesn't want to even portal out to town here unless he absolutely has to. Because
one more ad phase. One more ad phase and one more Kitava phase.
Blinding Spies are out, doing as much damage as possible. He's keeping those arc traps on there. A little bit of evasiveness, but he's got it because these guys are dangerous.
If he doesn't die, 1 minute to go. If he doesn't die, he most likely will have it here, as it will only take him a couple more seconds to finish this fight. Oh,
Nice
he gets the hand swing.
Perfect.
Wow, he gets it.
That is good. The far side. Nicely done. 138.48. We can double check there at the kill. I think it's timed from when the
it's only timed when the explosion hits. So yeah, whenever the players get their down. Oh my god, he actually beat out Waggle for second place by 25 seconds.
Did he have a death though? Did Fightgarr have a death?
Fightgarr had a single death, yeah. But Waggle had 4.
That includes the death? Nice.
Yep. Nice.
We have our final times here. 136 plus 4 for Waggle, making for 140.34. And 139.09 plus 1 for Fightgarr, 140.09. So beating him just by a bit under 30 seconds there. Fightgarr securing second place after a series of unfortunate, brutal, and savage deaths for Waggle. Nicely done, Fightgarr, on the catch back up there, and with very smooth Kitava kill. Perfectly done.
That must feel rough from Waggle. He even types out to, I believe, Fightgarr that, or maybe he was actually DeadandDoom, like he could not pay attention to the Kitava fight. It was just too much. This was an extremely long race, staying focused for such a long time while playing under-geared, sometimes under-leveled. It's just tough, and yeah, unfortunately, Waggle cracked a little bit under the pressure, having 3 rips on the Kitava fight alone, giving him an opportunity to Fightgarr catch up, and yeah, Fightgarr consistently catching up and eventually claiming second right after DeadandDoom.
It was an incredibly close race between DeadandDoom and Waggle. Oh, UberElite goes down in the background there. We're still going to be cheering UberElite on, by the way. The race is not over until UberElite secures his kill as well. But UberElite getting upset for the champ back right there. But as I was saying, like,
still making it into the money. Do remember that the finals guarantee you entry into the prize pool, with the 4th place being 10%. So we're still looking at least a solid 100 buckaroos for the UberElite.
Uber has put in the work in the group stage for the semifinals to get this far with some excellent efforts. And like we saw in those, I really liked his semis especially, where he played it slow and steady and got himself into the grand finale as a result. So well deserved. And yeah, you know, that's it's a little bit of extra cash you can reinvest into the stream action. Thanks to the generous contributions of everyone who threw in for the prize pool here to make things extra spicy for today. And what a spicy race it has been. I really appreciate how close it was between DeadandDoom and Waggle. Pretty much the whole race. And Fightgarr nipping at their heels the whole time and actually taking second as a result, as Waggle fell down after DeadandDoom went. I felt like his heart was shattered when DeadandDoom got the kill.
Yeah, it did seem like that. It does seem like he was paying attention to DeadandDoom maybe a little bit too much. He was so shortly behind, but not close enough, unfortunately. And yeah, that's pretty crazy because constantly we're like, okay, if DeadandDoom messes up here, then Waggle potentially will have an opportunity to get back in there, as UberElite does drop pretty low but maintains perfect balance and control like the respected racer we know him as, and continues to progress to Kitava. But we were constantly talking about how Waggle was just so close to DeadandDoom, and yeah, to see him end up third is a little bit heart shattering for, I'm sure, for all the Waggle fans out there, and for Waggle himself too.
Yeah, that was a brutal first death that Waggle had there. Very nasty. UberElite. Let's get some hype in chat. Some cheers for UberElite. Whatever you need to do, some meat in chat. You get some cheering action for UberElite right now. Let's get it on, because he is going into his Kitiva Kill in just a moment. There we go. Good on you, chat.
Nice.
Let's see. Uber
taking a second to take a look at chat, I'm sure.
throw some love in his chat as well, maybe. Get some of that headbanging action over in UberElite's chat. Cheer him on. He's going into his Kitiva Kill here. Let's see if he gives us a nice show.
Actually, UberElite having by far the least amount of HP, with Waggle also being the player who had the lower value. I mean, as much as we like to mention how Waggle did mess up his fight overall and definitely choked maybe a little bit, he did have 200 less HP than Fightgarr, but UberElite has 300 less HP than Fightgarr, so a pretty substantial difference, going from 800 HP to 1,100. That makes for a big difference in this boss fights, where a lot of one shot are just floating left and right around you.
On top of that, I'd like to point out that UberElite has been lagging quite a bit too. That's Uber's stream lagging, not Tepix, that you guys can see there. And you look at his little ping chart up the top there. It's been pretty erratic, so he's had a bit of a rough go of it, unfortunately, today. Net problems are never a joy. Nonetheless, though, let's cheer him on some more as he begins the Kitava fight. Kitava beginning with a punch and a swipe. UberElite handily dodging it.
A punch and a slap, a solid fight starter under any circumstances, especially if you are participating in a gachi video. Gets the first phase down very quickly, going to be progressing to the next one.
He waits the last moment.
Okay, yeah, that was a little close.
UberElite playing it cool. It's dodging that explosion, not too early. Maybe taking time to throw out an extra trap.
Taking care of the ads immediately, playing it out safe. Again, the only player that has not died. So, oh no, he did die, right?
I think
he did go down to the ads.
3 deaths, I think.
Excuse me? I don't even remember anymore. I thought he only had 1 death leading up to the Kitava fight, just a bit before. So
yeah, Uber's had a little bit of a rough go of it. Though I think right now I think he's only at 3 though, not quite the 4. So he might finish a little cleaner here. Either way, moving on to his second ad phase. Always a sketchy ad phase with those double unique mobs right there. Very dangerous stuff. He's keeping his distance. Risks
nicely done.
Kind of slipping by one of them, only just there. Kitava scooping back up his heart, moving into the fun a little bit here. Kitava going for the degen, which is fine, nicely avoidable. The punch.
Uber being very cautious about his lightning spire trap, seemingly sitting on 3 charges all the time, but that was clean.
Uber not entirely happy with his run there, but nonetheless getting himself into that grand finals, securing a nice little 10% of that prize pool right there. Congratulations to UberElite as he finishes his Kitava Kill race, and his character gets that resistance penalty, never to be recovered from. Well, Mr. Rise QT and Havoc, cameraman in the background there with no voice. I was not disappointed at all by today's grand finale.
Yeah.
I think a fitting send-off for the community race events.
That was absolutely great. Do remember, guys, that these events will be making a return. This is only the season finale for this league, as we are heading into a 1-month race. So if you're excited about racing, if you like these sort of events, do remember that you can still watch all of these players and all of these streamers participating in the upcoming flashback event. I, for one, am absolutely ecstatic to see how this one's going to pan out.
Yeah, there'll be tons of watching action to be done on Twitch for the start of this upcoming event. And Havoc and maybe myself and some other community members, and I'm sure a lot of these races will be returning to do some more racing, community-sponsored and hosted racing events like this in the future. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been an honor for me to cast it myself personally as well. Well worth getting up at 5 a.m. every morning too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would agree. Participating in these events and also participating in the casts has been a lot of fun. So thank you guys very much for watching. I also really appreciate the opportunity and am quite honored to be here. So again, it wouldn't be a thing without you guys. So thank you so much.
And thank you for co-casting with me, Rise. And final shout out, thank you to all of the guys behind the scenes working on, the graphics, the stats, Havoc on the cameras, everyone who goes, puts into organize this, because it really is a community effort. So it's fantastic to see something like this happening, because it would not happen without the collaborative effort of all of these people, and to you guys throwing in some cash to make things a little bit extra hype and make PoEsports a real thing. Guys, we're gonna head on out now. We'll see you guys in the future for more Path of Exile racing. That's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
All right, nice.